Hello, Gracia.
Hello.
Welcome to Shantia's Haven.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm happy you could make it here with us. And seeing Gracia, viewers, this is Gracia, and today on Shantia's Haven, we're getting into Gracia's world.
Yeah.
So we want to know who Gracia is. We want to know what are the challenges Gracia has faced so far in her life, what lessons she's learned from those challenges, and what advice she can give us in a nutshell. Please do not go away. We'll be right back. There was this joke, it's just a joke. Somebody said some people are fearfully made while others are wonderfully made. So please decide what you think that that will mean. All right. So today we have someone who was wonderfully made with us on Shantia's Haven, and I know it doesn't just come like that. Gracia, you're a beautiful girl. You're a beautiful lady, and I think I'm not the only one who sees that you're beautiful. I think other people too would have noticed, and some people may have even said one or two things. Yes, Gracia, you being beautiful, what are some of the challenges you faced as a child in a family and in the society who is termed beautiful?
This topic, it's sensitive to some people. This particular question can seem like a very delicate threshold because it can seem like you're attacking some people who can't testify the same, and also people who are not very happy about it will not be happy to listen to this conversation. But because they look at us and they're like, nah, I mean, you don't have any problems, you don't have any issues, but there's so many other things we have to deal with. I come from a Christian home. I was born in a Christian home. My parents are Christians. They're not exactly pastors, but I can say I'm a pastor's kid because I have those parents who are pastors in some sort of way. So first of all, being a PK, there's already this light that is shone on you, and then you're a PK and you're pretty, and then you're smart, and then you have all these things going on around you. And at a very young age, I didn't really know how to manage everything. There was this pressure, overwhelming pressure. I didn't know how to manage everything, but over the years, I can say it has been a lesson. I'm going to start with school. In school, I never actually thought that I was a pretty girl when I was much younger. It never occurred to me. My mom would say it, some classmates can say it every now and then, but I never thought to myself, you're a pretty girl, because I didn't like my smile. You'd hardly ever see me in pictures when I was a child smiling. I didn't like my smile. I didn't like my face. I just didn't like me. But people will always compliment me, and I didn't understand why.
Is it like you saw some other people you preferred you would have been like them? Why wouldn't you like you?
Yes, I think I would see other persons and I'm like, why don't I be like this person? I grew to love myself better when I was in high school, I think.
Wow. So, dear parents, all our children, they have their own moments of where they don't like themselves, and I would like us to be keen on that, especially after watching this episode. Be keen on talking to your children about their self-esteem. Even those that you think are kind of flawless, those you think have the perfect height, the perfect size, the perfect brain and mind and everything. It's in your mind that you think they are that perfect. You don't know if that's the same thought they have of themselves. So you may want to have discussions with all your kids again and bring them to that level, that understanding that they are pretty, they are wonderfully made, they are great children.
Yeah. So it was quite challenging. I've always been a very slim child. I was born, I'm one of those people that when you look at me, it will seem like my parents are not feeding me well. Because I was really very small.
In our way, a local pidgin way will say you be chop deny.
Yes. So and I had an older sister who was the bulky one.
Yeah.
So I didn't like myself. They'll always tell me, why you dry so? Like I was too small, and then I just hated myself. And I, as a girl also, I didn't exactly mature physically quite early. You know, my breast didn't shoot out early. I've always just been, I was just there, my early teenage years, and I had to deal with all of that pressure because around me, my age mates were already, I would say, fully developed. I wasn't. So, and also on top of that, in my school, that was in secondary school already, from 3, from 4, I had these classmates who were not very happy with me because it seemed like the guys in my class were always trying to get to me and not them, and it was and I didn't understand why, because I didn't really think of myself that much. So that's that for my school, for my how I lived around. I had coped in school.
Yeah.
Going to church, I had my ministry, I'm a singer, and I'm I would say I'm quite sociable. So I have an outgoing personality, so I'm always all over the place. So I'm a singer and I'm all over the place, and it's not easy because you have these people who think you're just trying to show off because you think you're pretty, you just want to be all over the place. But that was not really the case. I remember I joined the choir. I was 12 when I joined the big choir of my church. I had this choir leader who was I'm looking for a very subtle way to say it, but she was not exactly the best. You know, she didn't really understand and couldn't really guide me, I would say. So there's this day, amongst all the other things she ever did to me or said to me, this lady looked at me and she told me that I'm dressing. I was 13, 14 years old. She tells me that I'm dressing like a taxi. No, she said, I'm paraphrasing now, but she said, I need to be a private car. I don't need to be a taxi, because when you're a taxi, anybody can just hop in. And so many times I'll go to church. Mind you, I'm a minor. I'm under my parents. Whatever thing I have owned, my parents got it for me. So I'll go to church sometimes and I want to join sit with the choir. She'll send me back home that I should change because her perspective of decency or dressing is not exactly what she saw on me. So she tells me, I'll climb on the pulpit, she'll send me back down. You know, it was a lot of things for me to deal with. And in all of this, I still didn't think I am that pretty girl that people are saying that I am.
I would like us to digress a little bit. In all of this correction, like calling you not a taxi and all of that, did she ever get you sit down and to talk you and you could discuss about dressing, like from a place of love?
Well, I believe all she did was my place of love, but it was just a very, very wrong approach. To a teenager. I was an early teenager.
Parents, those in church, those in the society, when you see these teenagers in a certain way, you may want to be careful before you talk with them, especially if they are coming from their parents' homes. Some parents may have tried to talk and it's not working. Some other parents may never really just overlook, and then maybe your own school of thought doesn't really match that one. You may want to either talk with the parents before you get to their children and talk with them, or you go to the children if you're friends with those children. You make them your friend and then you could discuss and see reason why they should change the way they dress and the way they look. I think that approach would be better rather than being judgmental.
It definitely would be better because in all of this, the person in question didn't ever meet any of my parents. My parents were leaders in church. So I'm not from a home, let's say, where I'm coming to church because I'm a new convert. You know, my parents are not really Christians. My parents are leaders in church. And anybody who knows my parents knows that my parents are strict. So I couldn't have the liberty to really do what I wanted, even if I wanted to. So whatever thing was going on with me, you know, with my dressing, it was approved to 98% of it was approved by my parents. So I had to deal with all of that. And because of my church, the church I come from, the church where I was, is that kind of church that has this very strict rule when it comes to dressing.
Okay.
Yes. So to an extent, now I can say I understand her better. Going through all of that, I won't forget this one day. She was so mad at my dressing, at everything about me, and she comes to me and she tells me that they've suspended me, that she's tried to help me, but I'm seeming too resistant to the rebuke, to the corrections. So she's going to dismiss me from the choir, and I should know that if I don't choose to change, if I don't change, she would pray and ask God to take the gift He's given me and give some other person.
Wow.
Because I can't act upon my gift the way I am. If I don't change, she will pray and ask God to give some other person. And that day was the height of it. That was the height of it. I lost it. I remember crying so many times and asking God, all I want to do is sing and serve you. All these other things that people keep telling me, they really don't interest me like that. It doesn't even go through my mind, but they keep on filling my mind with these ideas that I do not have. All I want to do is to serve. If this is how burdensome it would be to serve you, then it's okay. Just take it. I will just be there, normal Christian. Don't give me any talent. I don't want to do anything. I just want to be simple church member, and I'll be fine. Again, I was just a teenager. I was not up to 15 years old. Now, my stuff that was about church and my ministry, how I deal with it socially with friends, try to massage people's insecurities in order to keep friendships and all of that. And there's so many other things that one has to deal with.
Viewers, why are we letting Gracia talk to us about her life? While she's talking, I would like you as a parent and a guardian to get into Gracia's world and imagine your children in that world and see what your children are going through, which they may not be able to tell you. Not all of them are bold enough to come outside and say these insecurities they face as they move around. So maybe you get into her world as she's talking, you try to imagine what your own child is going through. It will give you ideas and give you ways on how to discuss certain topics in the house with your child, and also make the child feel free to talk with you about any other thing without you judging that child.
I'm going to go back to church, my ministry, because that's the core of who I am.
Okay.
Every other thing comes after that.
So your ministry is music?
Music,
Okay.
yes. I'm in the music ministry, and I also have a heart for teenagers and adolescents, children, because I think God has given me a message for them as well.
Okay.
So I'm going back to this because it's my core. I remember at some point I got very discouraged in church, because I'm not one of those persons who have been told that as a pretty girl, why are you in church? I've never really had those statements, directly at me, but people will not really expect you to be as serious as you are with God because you're a fine girl, or because you're, let's say, fashionable. They expect you to, and even if you're in church and you're like that, the people in church know that you're definitely having two lives.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's one aspect that I've had to deal with.
Okay.
Being in church, staying true to who I am, who God made me to be, and having to deal with judgmental eyes. It got to a point where I became expectant. I would go to a place already expecting people to react in a certain way, even if maybe they didn't really think like that, because I was so accustomed to people, misjudging me.
Misjudging. Whoa.
I love God. In all my helter skelter, I love God. I've had to stray. I've had to make mistakes, but I love God and I'm intentional about my relationship with God. And that's the one thing that has kept me going through all these challenges that I faced. The fact that I love God. That sometimes I'll talk to Him and I can't hear Him because the voices of other persons have, clogged my ears. But I think if I haven't fallen and gone far beyond repair, it's because some part deep down in me, I really do love God. And I'm grateful to my parents for that because they sowed the seed in me, and now I think they are proud to say that the seed is bearing fruit. Before it was really very it was very, very shady, but I think now I've matured, so the seed is bearing fruit. There's some time ago, I think 3-4 years ago, I told myself I'm not going to do this music thing anymore. I'm not going to sing anymore because it seems to some people when I pick up the mic to sing, I just want to show off. Some people already have blocked minds that when she picks up the mic, there's nothing spiritual about her.
Oh, okay.
It's just her skill. There's no spirit. She's not anointed. It's just her skill. And I know that sometimes you climb. People don't need to speak with words for you to hear them.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can feel it, how they look at you, how they talk to you. I'll pick up the mic and I want to sing, and the eyes that are looking at me are just, what's this girl again? What do you want to say? What can you even give us? Even if it may not be true, but because I'm already accustomed to that, it sticks to my mind. So I told myself I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not singing anymore. I'll just be a normal floor Christian because what all these are somebody I just want to serve God. That's all.
This your topic and this your life. A stroll into Gracia's life. It's giving me some ideas. I want to find out, what do you think sin is? Simple, the simplest way you can say what sin is.
I think sin is doing what is outside the will of God.
Doing what is outside the will of God is sin. Doing what God doesn't like is sin. Now, to us parents, or to those of us who are in church, or those of us who are watching these teenagers and these youths grow up, and we have a lens through which we look at them, either from what you have heard, from what you know, or from what you think you know. When I look at someone and I think that this person is not right with God, I always want to take the question back to me. Is God very satisfied with my own life? Am I right with God? Am I at that position where I can judge another person? Am I at that position where I can talk about somebody's life the way I wish? Is God happy even with my attitude? I think that when we look at someone with the lens of love, it's better. That way, even if you can't talk to that person about what the person is doing, you can pray for that person.
Yeah.
And you will do the prayer sincerely. And when you do the prayer sincerely, you will not entertain any gossips or anybody talking to you about that person. Because when the person will come to talk to you, the way you will answer, you will answer in a way that is changing that person's perspective to also see how to look at someone from a place of love.
Yeah.
Can we please grow up and do it this way? I think that way will make our churches, it will make our homes, our society a better place.
Yeah, definitely the love approach is what saved me.
Okay.
Because I was at the verge of, I'm not doing this anymore. It got to a place where I would not even come to church. There's this one man that God really just sent for me. He didn't give me space to breathe. He didn't give me space to not be involved in the things of God anymore. I tried, but he was always just there. He would call me, Gracia, why were you not in church today? Gracia, why were you late? Gracia, why are you not? Gracia. And sometimes it would just be so annoying. And I'm like, God, can this man just shut up? Leave me be. I don't want to do this thing again. But because God was intentional about me, the man stayed there and he pressed on until I until God broke me.
Mm-hmm.
So one other lesson I learned is from this man whom God sent to help me in those trying times. He taught me that he made me sit back and go through, the pattern, the things that have been happening to me over the years. And he told me to, which one thing that has never left my mind. He says every single thing that has been given to me by God is given to me for service unto God. Think if you've been given hands, you've been given a voice, you've been given eyes, all of it the collective of these things is for service unto God. So I should sit back and think, if God has tailored my fashion sense this way, if He has tailored my heart to think this way, my desires to be this way, what if all of that was for service unto Him? What if there's a particular people who are waiting to receive a message from me? Because if I am some other kind of way, they won't accept my message. So maybe I was made this way for service unto a particular group of persons who are waiting for my message. And this one lesson has never left my mind, because in fact God gave you everything you have for service unto Him. God just had to break me and bring me to the place where He wanted me to be. And He started all over again, mending every broken piece of my heart, which He is still doing, healing me, taking me through the healing process. And the healing process is not a short process. It's a very long process. Having to deal with the lady who said all those things to me, till now, sometimes I think about it. I remember telling my mom, I think a year ago, and my dad, that I will go back to that church and I'll go and ask that woman that, look at me, you prayed, did God take it? Did He take it? I'm still alive and I'm still shining. I'm still serving God, because some part of me was still holding on to those things she said. But as time is going by, someone said time is the best healer.
Yes.
Time heals. Yes, time heals. So time is passing by. It shreds off all those things that were told.
And maybe that woman, that was the best she knew how to approach that situation. That's all she knew. You can't give what you do not have.
Yeah, I also learned to accept it. And it has helped me, because of that experience, it has helped me to better coach the people who now look up to me. Because one of the things that God has blessed me with is, from a very tender age, I've always been doing things. People will say I did do pass myself, doing things way above my age. And I've had people who look up to me, younger people, even older persons who they look down, look up to me. So from that experience, God is teaching me to better approach them. How do I talk to these children? How do I help them? Their parents may not be able to say the right things, but when they come to church, when I meet them on the streets, when I meet them in school, because of my experience, I can better tailor my words to suit each child personally, tailor to what they are going through. I'm able to put myself in their shoes and help them grow past what they are going through. And I think that's the beauty of my story. I think that's what makes me happy when I think about my story. The fact that I can help someone to be better because of what I've gone through. That makes me happy about my story. It makes me proud about this part of my story, because there's more. But I'm happy that someone can look at me today and tell me that, Auntie Gracie, I want to be like you. Auntie Gracie, I want to do this like you. You inspire me to do this. Although they don't know my history, but if they can see what I do now and tell me they are impressed. Some parents before, who were not very comfortable with how I was, can look at me now and tell me, I'm proud of you. I'm happy.
Wow.
I love seeing you do what you do.
Wow.
I mean, I'm like, okay, God, it's okay. I got the message. I've learned through it. And if somebody can be blessed through it, there's nothing more satisfying than that to me.
That's wonderful. You go through something so that you can help others go through and not make the same mistakes that you made before, and also to see life in another way. It's so beautiful, Gracia. Thank you so much for coming on Chances Haven and accepting to share your experience, to share your world with us.
It's a pleasure.
That's Gracia's world, and we're happy for your world. There are too many lessons to learn from that world. And what last word would you give to parents who have children who are like beautiful, hot, or teenagers in this our generation?
Well, let's just say those kids that parents say are too difficult to handle.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I've learned working with children is every one of your children are beautiful. They are so, even those ones that you say they will give me headache, that child is beautiful. I don't know how to explain it, but there's just something about this troublesome child that is so beautiful to me. And if you could just be patient, you may not have the best resources to help your child, but if you find that person that can talk to your child and your child listens, it can make you feel jealous, I understand, because you want to parent your child by yourself, but God may just send that person to help you because you can't do it by yourself. And you should give allowance for your child to make mistakes, actually. You can parent a child, but the truth is that every parent is always going to be new. Every parent will be new to a child. How do I put this? Everything your child goes through is going to be new to you. So it's going to be a new experience every time for you. So you don't have there's no book, no manual that has, okay, at 13 this child will go through this, so this is what I will do. There's no manual.
That's true.
Every new experience a child has is also new to you. So there's no manual for you to follow. You have the Holy Spirit to guide you. But no matter how much you try, your child will make mistakes. And the only thing you can do to help your child when the child makes mistakes is approach the child with love. Correct the child. Very important. Correct the child, yes, but from a place of love. Not your definition of love, but what the child can define as
the child's love language.
Yes, this is my parent. My dad loves me. That's why he's doing this. You know, and then sow the seed of Jesus in the child's life. That's the best thing that has happened to me. I can't overemphasize. The best gift my parents gave to me was Jesus. And that's what has made me who I am now. When you sow the seed of Jesus in their lives, everything else springs forth. Love, joy, hope, patience, self-control, and all of that springs forth from there. And I think in the long run, you'd be able to look at your child and you'd say, I'm proud of this child. Some children can be very tough to handle, but you just have to be patient. You just have to be patient. And I think you'll be happy when you see your child becoming something. But the truth, I just want to say this, just to put it out there. Sometimes it's not going to work, but you still have to love your child regardless.
That's the truth,
Sometimes you will try all you can. People will talk, pray, and everything, but it's not going to work. But you have to love the child regardless, hoping that someday the child will be okay.
Tough one there, parents and guardians. Thank you, Gracia, for your time. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to get into your world and understand one or two things about what people like you go through and how we, parents and guardians, should handle that kind of situation when it happens in our own homes. I hope you've learned a thing or two. If this episode was a blessing, if you liked this episode, why not share with a friend, with a neighbor, or someone, just so that they can learn too. It may help their home as well. Remember that on Chances Haven is helping one family at a time for a better society. Remember to always leave it better than you met it. See you some other time on Chances Haven. Bye-bye.